Israel's eyes, Mount Hermon, at the crossroads of three international borders, bordered by Lebanon and Syria. Here we find the Golani Infantry Brigade's 13th Battalion.
We're on a foot patrol west of our base. We check that there's no immediate danger on the ground, that there are no suspicious objects or people in the area, and at the same time we demonstrate the presence of Israeli soldiers in our battalion. Sometimes we do this type of patrol on these security tracks, and then we patrol below because we know there's movement.
This outpost is called Astra, located at 2,100 meters above sea level, considered the northernmost position in Israel. All around us, electronic surveillance devices. The Air Force is on the lookout. And then, these infantry soldiers.
We look closely at the situation on the ground, objects that have moved or should not be there, because in the end, there are no physical obstacles or barriers between our three borders. From this perspective, there's nothing that separates us from Lebanon. Anyone can approach our post. That is why we must show our presence and not rest.
Especially when facing an enemy who can appear out of nowhere, you have to be ready for all scenarios. Because Syria overlooks the Astra Outpost from the north, Lebanon from the south. All of this at the peak of winter, with several feet of snow underfoot. So at the beginning of March, when part of this white layer has melted, you have to be extra vigilant.
We went up this observation point with my sergeant to see that the area is clean and to check where my soldiers will position themselves. It's a real challenge, mainly for soldiers who do not see the enemy and do not necessarily feel the threat on a daily basis. Hezbollah is a terror organization based in Lebanon, and we're here to prevent it from infiltrating our country and protecting Israel.
Here, one of the IDF's fiercest battles took place in October of 1973. During the Yom Kippur War, it was the Golani Brigade that suffered the most loss, with more than 50 of its soldiers killed to retake this outpost from the Syrians, a place forever marked by military history.
Yes, we feel that legacy of Golani. Their history is rich in this region and has been an active part of the fact that we can both be standing here today. The fact that we protect Mount Hermon is coming full circle. It's one of the most beautiful places I've seen in Israel. Just look at the scenery around you. But you have to keep training, be ready in case war breaks out in this sector, and that is what we're going to do in the next 2 weeks.
Syria in my right, Lebanon in front of me. And this quiet is quite decisive, because these soldiers know how to practice on a regular basis. Now it's quiet, but who knows? Probably next month the war will come against Hezbollah and Shia militias in probably the most strategic place of Israel.
We are now with Lieutenant Ofek, Deputy Commander of the 13th Battalion, standing on Israel's roof. And I'm going to ask him where we are exactly. Ofek, we are standing on the crossroads of the three borders with Lebanon and Syria.
We are standing here at what we call the border triangle. South of us is Israel and parts of the Syrian Hermon. To the north is Lebanon, and east of here, there's a rock. We use it for navigation and orientation. It's called the Triangle Rock. So we are here protecting two of Israel's borders. That's our mission.
Lieutenant Ofek, so behind us, Lebanon, do you confirm this is the most strategic position in Israel?
Yes, this place, this village is called Farshaba. The village that we overlook is a village that adjoins the northern border of Israel. Here it is the outpost, which is right on the border. As you can see, there's no barrier for reasons of location and topography, and also because of the climate. We have snow here. 15 days ago, there was a storm. So we have no barriers, and indeed, it is a village which, you see the proximity, you see where it is. We're undoubtedly in a strategic location.
So this is a Lebanese village?
Yes, it's a Lebanese village in every way. There are also UN forces responsible for monitoring the buffer zone between Israel and Lebanon, but most of the houses you see belong to Lebanese citizens.
Until about 5 years ago, the most prominent threat in this area was the Islamic State. Now it is a different enemy, according to various sources. Now this area is occupied by Iranian proxies. Is that correct?
In general, the enemy in this area is an enemy that we know well from the years leading up to the First Lebanon War and also 2006, the Second Lebanon War. Hezbollah has control over much of the region here. There's a whole slate of other protagonists that we're not going to dwell on. But we can generally say that our main enemy in the area is Hezbollah. They're in control of southern Lebanon, and we have met them on several occasions.
Can you explain the difference between protecting a border from ground level opposed to having an altitude advantage?
As you said before, this outpost is a strategic point. We overlook the terrain. It's an observation point of Lebanon, and it is very difficult to take us by surprise due to the type of terrain. For us, this is an advantage. This allows us great freedom of movement in terms of defense, the defense of this outpost. However, a significant change in the design of defense as we know it before should also be noted. There are no patrols, there are no barriers, and here we have the ability to go anywhere we want. There is close cooperation with the various forces on the ground, the Alpine unit, for example, and others. It's totally different, but also allows us to do many things. But look at the landscape. It's magnificent.
It is crazy how beautiful this scenery really is, but at the same time, you can feel the presence of a constant threat here. Maybe not an actual ground invasion, but mortars and rockets for sure.
I'm going to repeat to you what the battalion commander told us when we first deployed here. He told us that this place can hide its game well and be quite deceiving. It is a magnificent place, indeed one of the most beautiful in Israel, a point of observation, an impregnable landscape, especially with the snow and the climate. But you have to be ready for anything. The enemy may appear at any moment. We prepare for it. So it's true. We enjoy the landscape of this place without forgetting that we must always be vigilant, prepared for any mission that we'll be asked to carry out, and we respond as soon as something happens. We are setting up deterrent devices here and also have operational patrols to give us better defense perimeter.
So, if you mention how deceiving this place may be, the cold is deceiving and the silence.
Yes, the cold. We arrived here in winter at the end of November. We're now at the beginning of March. We spent the whole winter here and did our training as Golani fighters, infantry fighters. It's different. The operational challenges we face are different. You only get better for it. Snow is new to us. You have to learn how to deal with it. Cooperation with other units, which we have never worked before, such as the Alpine unit, travel in operational vehicles and snow vehicles. Here it's different. We train and we are better prepared for any scenario. I really believe that it is different out here. It's not an area like Judea and Samaria or the Gaza Strip. The enemy here is less present, but he should not be forgotten. And we are ready. There is a whole range of exercises, defense of the outpost and others that we carry out to ensure our readiness and, if necessary, to know how to react in real time.
If war breaks out, will it reach this area where we are standing now?
Without a doubt. For sure. We're preparing for it. It's one of the possible scenarios. There is no doubt that the line of outposts here will be the first target.
So from Lebanon and Syria.
It is something else, and it's clear to everyone that the deterrence is mutual. We are here, and they are there, just opposite us. And they are well aware of it. And I can say that in general, on this border, all the forces are on the lookout. I believe that everyone here is ready for the day when eventually the combat scenario becomes reality. And we will find ourselves in a general campaign. This outpost, it must be said, is ready for any eventuality. There are structures that allow us to be operational in the long term. It is an outpost that we qualify as autonomous. We can last for months. We have equipment inside. We are ready for anything.
Last question. We said this is a strategic place, beautiful scenery, all is well. But what goes through your mind thinking that in just a few weeks you will be dealing with Gaza, West Bank, and the Lion's Den? What is the effect on you as a commander?
You know, in training to be a combatant, we consider different scenarios, whether it's warfare in open terrain or urban warfare, the use of armored vehicles, personnel carriers, and others. I believe that commanders here have an important role to play, and that they must prepare for the soldiers and ensure that they are always ready. One of the first things we did when we arrived here, we did an exercise to understand exactly where we were, who the forces were, and in the 15 days leading up to our arrival, there were very detailed briefings on our enemy, the village down there. The commanders came in for observations up front, and coming down from here after this rotation of operational activity, when we find ourselves in another sector, I believe there will be no difference in the soldiers in terms of their state of alertness. On the contrary, soldiers want to operate, so they are ready for anything, and we are doing everything in our power to prepare and train them for the moment when we will have to act, whether it is here or elsewhere. It doesn't matter.
What may I wish for you?
To prevail in every confrontation.
Merci beaucoup.